Okay, all the housework is done. Housework is done, and as I've been cleaning up the area, and I've been talking about it as we've been going through the videos and getting the shelves all put together, I said I was going to have to go through some boxes. Some boxes don't just, get thrown away. Some boxes still have items in them that we haven't either made or used, and, well, that's just the way it is. So we're going to go over the Gunpla boxes and a couple of items that are like Gunpla. We're going to talk about what I have, what's going to go up there on the very top shelf. You can't see the top shelf, it's up there. That right there is it's a Firebird outside. That's what that is. Neighbor, he's working on one. It's pretty cool. That's what it is. So, let's go over this. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about, the first thing that goes up there is this. And you can hear, this is why these boxes are being kept. Some of these boxes still have weapons and things from other characters and other things. We're going to tip it this way and hope we don't lose anything. But anyways, I have hands and things like that in here. I'm going to make one of these boxes a spare parts box. All kinds of guns and everything else will end up going in there, but that's a long-term thing. The first thing we're going to do with all of this stuff is we're going to pack the entire top shelf. And once all of this stuff has been talked about and put up there, I'll do a panning shot type of thing, and I'll show it to you so you can see what I have in mind. Once all this stuff is up there, we'll have an idea of what we still have to build, and how many more of these we can buy before we have to start worrying about box space. Because, if you're holding on to your boxes, the items always seem to take less space than the boxes. Always. You get a statue like that Vegeta back there, he came in a big old giant square box that takes up more room than he does standing there. Him standing there, I could put 2 or 3 Vegetas around him in the space that the box took up. It's just the nature of things. So I'm going to cut through boxes here and talk about what we have. So we've already seen this. I already reviewed this guy. I already put him together. Let's talk about the next box. Okay, first off, this. This box, it's kind of cool. It's garbage. This box also, it's awesome. It's Death Scythe. Yes, I have a Death Scythe from the UC collection. These are cool, but I don't need these boxes to tell me what's left in the collection that I want. I know I want Tolgeese and so on and so forth, and there. They're out of the way. They're out of the way because not every box is worth keeping. It's just not. It's not worth it. Look, it's just like I just said a second ago. Some of these things, they're taking space, and we need to get that space back if you're gonna make the most of your collection. In my experience, which is the reason this whole project is going over the way it's going over. If you want to make the very best of your collection, then everything in your collection needs to have a purpose, and you have to have the space for the collection. If it's worthless to you, if it's just an item, look, I got this little dude. This little dude doesn't take up a lot of space. But if Proto Man and Mega Man mean nothing to you, then this little knick-knack guy, he's pointless. He would be pointless for you. And that's exactly what I'm trying to get out of this whole arrangement. Out of this entire project, that is what I am determining. It's what I'm doing. Everything on the shelf will have a purpose to me. Not every box is worth keeping. Some of these items, they're never going to leave. And if they do, I'm not worried what the resale value of them would be with the box. Or without. I don't care. Those, If I ever sell those, they're not going to be worth much. They're worth about $25 when you buy them. You go on Amazon, you buy them for about $25. And if I don't have the box, maybe I only get $15 if somebody ever wanted it and I ever wanted to get rid of it. As it stays right now, I don't want to get rid of any of it. That's the reason we're doing this with boxes. And it's also a good excuse, like I said, to go through what I have left. We haven't talked about this yet. I love this kit. Love this kit. Damn, it's so good. It's so good. And the box art itself is top flight. It's frickin' top flight, man. It's without a doubt something that once we get to max capacity at the top shelf, I'm going to be taking the boxes that we no longer need and figuring out what might just be cut into artwork. This is one that could easily be cut into artwork because it's fucking fantastic. Okay? Let's talk about a couple more boxes. Okay, I grabbed another 3. So here, this hasn't been built yet. This is an older model. But this is going to be cool. This is going to be cool because it's an older one. And I remember making some of these older ones. And it's going to be neat to see just how far we really have come. And this is... I was surprised by this. See, when I started getting back into Gunpla, Nick, the lone paladin, all of a sudden was like, well, I have a Gunpla. And I was like, why? Like, what the shit? Because he's not that kind of guy. He'd never even made one. The first one he'd ever made, this is another part of why I was surprised when he said that, because this technically was his. Is his, if you want to get technical, but I'm going to build it. He'd never made one. He made a different one that we will end up talking about, which is not sitting up here yet. But this is going to be cool to go. This is going to be cool to go over. I'm legitimately looking forward to building this. But this is one of the boxes that, of course, goes up there because we haven't built it yet. This is another one that is amazing. This was another one that is one of my favorite Gunpla that I have ever built. And not just because it's one of my favorite designs, but because this was a solid build. Very solid. This guy turned out better than I expected. When I got him, I was kind of under the impression of, like, it'll be cool to make him, but I don't know how overly excited I am about the process. It'll just be cool to have one. In the course of making him, as he came together, he turned out to be one of the better ones that I've put together, surprisingly. Because he wasn't overly complicated, but wasn't overly easy. There were a couple of issues with him here and there, and we'll talk about that when we actually go over his piece in general. But, yeah, I'm going to grab a couple more boxes. Okay, that'll be the last jump cut, because I went and got every single one of the boxes that's left. This is an old Char. He's an old Char. He's really cool. He was fine to put together. He's not one of the better ones. When we get to talking about him, he's old. It may definitely be in your best interest to go after a newer variant in terms of making these. But he's one of the boxes that gets to go up there. This was the first one that Nick ever made. This guy right here. I got him because I didn't even know what he was. I had not watched the show. I didn't know anything about it. It seemed really intriguing. It seemed like a really good new rendition of the RX-78, and that's not what it is, but it's neat. Now, one thing about him, though, that was really weird is that his runners have a lot of pieces left on them. Like, a lot of pieces. This is only one of, like, 5 runners, and every single one of the runners has parts left on it. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. Sometimes you make these and they have like 2 or 3 extra hands, and sometimes you use every piece, and sometimes you use only like half of a runner, and I don't know exactly what it is or why that happens. It's just the nature of these, which is the reason why if you hold on to every one of your extra pieces, sometimes you may get lucky. You may be able to build something or kind of mesh together something that's your own creation, while at the same time, it's also good for it's kit bashing. You can do a lot of decent kit bashing with the parts that you got left, and you also have the possibility that sometimes if you mess something up, you may have a spare sitting around. Like if you drop something on the floor and you're working on carpet and you cannot find the little ball joint, well, sometimes not every single unit uses every single one of those, and you may get lucky and you may be able to substitute. It's the nature of the beast. This is going to be cool. This is going to be cool. I expect he's going to be complicated, but I'm really looking forward to making this one. The Psycho Zaku looks like it's going to be cool. This is one I'm not looking forward to making. I know that I just irritated some people because a lot of people are seriously into new Gundams. And that's fine. You can like whatever Gundam you like. That's another thing that I'm really trying to stress now. I'm really trying to live by it. Everybody likes different things. And though my opinions are going to be different from yours because one of my all-time favorite designs comes from the past, comes from the 80s. But like this, he looks cool enough. And he looks simple enough that I'm sure I'll enjoy making him. I know nothing about him. I haven't seen his show yet. So I'm not overjoyed to make him, but we have him. So we're definitely going to be putting him together. Which, that's an argument I'm having as well, is how I'm going to do this. Because I've been having this idea that it might be beneficial, and I don't know this for sure, but it might be beneficial to actually do live builds. Almost like a stream where I turn the camera down onto the desk, clear out the desk, and I just kind of make him while I'm talking and hanging out, and you might be able to see my hands and see what I'm cutting or what I'm doing. I've thought about doing that. I don't know if I will, because I just don't know. Depends. I'm really going to have to do some thinking about that, because I don't know if that's something I want to do. Now, the last three, because, yeah, we just went through all the Gunpla boxes that I happen to have sitting around, the stuff that's waiting to be built. It's not an exuberant amount of stuff, but we have some stuff to build. And we have some stuff that's been built that we have yet to talk about. Now, there's two figures that are not Gunpla, but follow the same concept as Gunpla, and I'm looking forward to building them. That is Android 18. This is one that I am actually looking forward to building. I've never built one of these. I've built plenty of Gunpla, and I know when I talk about Gunpla, it sounds like I'm always talking about how I've built like a ridiculous amount of Gunpla, and everybody's like, oh yeah, but then they see and I don't seem to have that much Gunpla. For that, you need to really look at my history of Gunpla, because if you look at the history of Gunpla that I put down, you'll see that what ended up happening was that I had a lot of Gunpla and a lot of Gundam toys. And then I lost practically all of them. And I've been rebuilding over the years. Over the last couple years, like the last 2 years, I got back into Gunpla. And I've been rebuilding from that point. Now, as you can see, these run on about the exact same concept as a Gunpla. They come with beams and everything, which is kind of cool in my own personal opinion. It's going to be very different to work on this over what I've worked on Gunpla. I'm sure it builds the same way. I'm sure that's not an issue at all. But it's going to feel different. But at the same time, that's what I'm really looking forward to. Now, I bought her because when she came onto the show, her and Videl came close enough together, because she showed up and then the very next season we got, well, I guess depends on how you want to break that down. If you want to consider because there's the Android saga, then there's the Cell saga. Well, when we got Videl, I feel like we'd already gone out of our way to damage 18. And I'm not talking about the fact that she had a kid. Toriyama has this problem, about introducing solid, strong female characters. And then, like, tying them down to relationship status and they never do anything after that. Supposedly that's got better in Super. I am just starting to watch Super and I have some big complaints with it. We're not going to get into that. But 18, to me, was like the ticket. It was going to be the first real hardcore female fighter that was going to keep up with the Z fighters and not be left behind like Bulma or anybody else that was introduced throughout the lore of Dragon Ball. And it didn't happen. I feel like she was put backseat pretty quick. She went from breaking Vegeta's arm and being easily, competently one of the strongest fighters ever introduced in all of Z to being Krillin's wife. Did I just say something bad about Krillin? No. Am I saying she can't have kids or do any of that? No. But, like, that's really what she is. Wasted potential, if you ask me. But I still really liked the character overall. And because of that, I saw about 5 of these. I saw a Goku, and I saw an 18, and I was like, okay, I want the 18. And then I saw a Cell, and I saw a Vegeta. And everybody's favorite character is fucking Vegeta. Not mine. Not mine. It's not my favorite character in Dragon Ball Z. I bought my favorite character from Dragon Ball Z from these models. And I'm really looking forward to making it. My favorite character in Dragon Ball Z history is Future Trunks. As in future Trunks. As in the Trunks that came from the future, not the Trunks that we currently have in Super. I've seen that Trunks, and I don't care what your storyline is. I don't care what you want to lay down. I don't care what fucking legs of bullshit you want to stand on. That is not Future Trunks. It cannot be the same guy that came back to us in the Dragon Ball Z saga. It cannot. It is 100% not possible because the storyline doesn't add up. It's not right. Even his hair color changed. And yes, I'm making a big deal out of that. Especially when we figure out from Trunks himself when he tells us time travel is not the thing he is doing. He's basically jumping universes. Because he jumps over to us, changes history, goes back to his time, nothing changed. Why? Because he's not actually changing history. It's not a time machine. That's what he thought it was. That's what she thought it was. He basically hopped dimensions. Which is fine. That's fine. But it also leads us to understand that the new Future Trunks that comes in Super, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm telling you, I don't care. I've looked at the storyline elements of it. It's not this guy. It cannot be this guy. Can't be this guy. Watch the movie, read the manga, and then go watch Super again and impose these two characters on top of one another. It's not him. This is him. This is my favorite character. This. I love Future Trunks. I liked his attitude. I liked his character arc. I liked where he came from. I liked the fact that he had a perception of his father which was given to him by himself. I mean, that's the way it is. It's a child viewing the idea of a parent until he meets that parent and is, in the long run, basically disappointed, but then still craves that attention. I understand it. I understand him so well, and I understand his attitude, and I also enjoy the fact that he's one of the very first characters in all of Dragon Ball Z history that's seen an adversary in front of him and didn't play the let him power up game or let him be turned on game. Like, when they get to the androids and Vegeta's all about, yeah, wake that android up, and he's like, no, fuck that. I've seen what happens. I've seen what these guys do. I'm stopping it right now. And he fucking blasted the room and everything. Like, He is my favorite character because he has lived through shit that makes his character design infinitely different than the other Z Warriors. And because in his universe, there is not the cliche anime victory because it doesn't matter that the heroes die, they're just a coming back. His history timeline, they don't come back. They don't come back. That makes him infinitely interesting, that had he gone onto his time and had a story where we could have followed his progression, and if they would have done that tournament where they were doing like the universe tournament or whatever, and they were taking people from different universes, oh man, that would have made so much sense for him to show back up. But that is what it is. Now we're going to talk about one last thing. I have one more Gunpla box that is going to go up there. And it is the Granddaddy Champion fucking suit. It is my favorite Gundam, my favorite design from one of my all-time favorite Gundam events in all of Gundam history. Piloted by quite possibly one of my favorite pilots. Every now and then Bill gets to be cliche. Bill likes Amuro. Okay, he does. He fucking likes Amuro. This bad motherfucker right here. Holy shit. This is the masterpiece that is waiting to be added to the collection. So good. It's so good. And I'm so blurry. Like, I lost everything. Oh, there we go. It's so good. It's so fucking good. I don't care. I don't care how cliche it is. I don't care what people think. I've seen the reviews on this model kit. A couple years back, before I really got back into Gunpla, I built a HG of this. And it was a remarkably competent build. And I've heard from multiple reviews that this RG is one of the best builds in Gundam, period. In all of Gunpla. And if that's true, I'm super excited. This is one of my... No, it's not one of. This is my favorite suit ever in the history of Gunpla. In the history of Gundam. I love the RX-93. It's fucking... It's the best. It's fucking best. So, I think we've covered enough time, so I'm going to run the pan shot. This is what it all looks like when it's all up there. So, we have now added these items back into the collection. I'm going to get out of here. I have spoken. Take what you will from it.